This is Mike Healy. I'm with the PB&J Animal Network. PB&J stands for Perdido Beach and Josephine, Alabama. We share a common border. We are on Perdido Bay at the very southeastern tip of Alabama. I'm interviewing, or will be interviewing in a few seconds, Ken Beaudet, who is a obedience trainer and expert in that area. Our group, again, we're all volunteers, had him out this past Monday to work with 6 dogs that we're presently fostering. And I'd like to open this by asking Ken, what did you hope for us to learn Monday, and what is your philosophy for having fosters become better, end up with better animals, more able to be placed?
The easy answer, and really the only answer to that, is you have to be able to control the animals that you have in your facility in order for folks to come over and take a look at your dogs, and if they're not out of whack, they're not jumping around and just making a complete havoc of the situation, you're going to have much more adoptable dogs. And so the easy way to do that, and probably the best way, the very first thing I teach anyone, no matter what the scenario, is sit your dog. Sit, 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 sit. And as I mentioned to the group last week when I was here, when you get to a point that you think you are sitting your dog too many times, you're halfway there. You have to sit these dogs. They make a conscious choice to calm down once they follow a command. And by sitting, it stops the jumping, it stops the bolting out of doors, it stops so many behaviors, bad behaviors, that we see in most dogs, I would say, but particularly in shelter dogs. So gaining control by sitting a dog, teaching the dog to sit every time it approaches you, is a common goal among all trainers. And once that's accomplished, then you can move into something that might be a little bit more advanced. But to just simply take control of your dog, sit, 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 sit until you are absolutely sick of it, then you sit them more. And you'll have a changed dog in a week if you do that 3 times a day, 5 minutes each session, and you make this happen. You make these dogs sit as they're approaching. You will have a different dog in a week, and then you'll have a different dog 2 weeks beyond that. Once you do this, you've gained control, you've got their attention. Now you can begin training them in different behaviors. But the sit is it all begins with sit. It all begins with sit. So once you sit a dog, you have gained at least partial control.
Ken, we have, as you know, mixed breeds in our group of 6 here that we're fostering locally. Is there any breed in your mind that cannot be trained to the point of being adoptable?
No, there are things that you cannot cure. There are behaviors that you can't cure if you've got an overly aggressive dog, or maybe a dog that is just really full of energy. You can't cure that, but you can control it, and that's what this is all about. This is all about gaining control. If you have an overly aggressive dog, you have to catch that before it happens. When you sit a dog, if you've got a dog running towards you and you wait until the dog is within 2 feet of you, that dog's already made his choice. He is going to hit you. So if you get him 10 feet away and command sit, chances are very good that you're going to get compliance with that command. So is there a dog that can't be trained? I say bring me your untrainable dogs. And I don't mean that to be facetious or that I'm the best in the world, but I have yet to find a dog that I have not been able to calm down in the last 8 years.
Ken, if you would speak to the idea that you felt coming to our very small and modest rescue organization with the volunteers that we had on hand, and the fact that we have a small number of dogs that we can possibly keep at one time, you felt that what we were doing in terms of trying to train volunteers, and I'm one of them that was trained along with the dogs in your last visit, was unique. Speak to that if you would, and the need for people, anybody involved in the rescue and particularly fostering business, fostering into the spectrum, how important.
Yeah, I think one of the first things that needs to be ingrained in every volunteer and in every rescue, and most probably adhere to this, but as a rule and as a steadfast rule, a dog never goes into or comes out of a kennel or a crate or whatever it's in unless it's on a leash. That's huge. If you have a dog that has a propensity that just doesn't like the dog next to him, and you take that dog out and it's not on a leash to where you actually have physical control of it, you could get something happen there that you don't want to happen. And the fact that this is the first organization that invited me out to talk to them is a big deal. I work with rescues from Destin, Florida, all the way over to Daphne, Alabama. And I work with dogs in prison down in Port St. Joe. I work with American Lab Rescue up in Boston, Massachusetts. This is via telephone and email. And all of them basically call me for the same reasons. You know, the more distant ones call me for help with dogs that they have adopted in the area. They want me to get in touch with those people. And I'm willing to do that. I'm happy to do that. But they always, the things that I get called the most about are dogs that are jumping. They can't be walked, and they're bolting. As soon as they see the line of freedom, they're gone. So all of those things can be controlled. Dog never enters or leaves a kennel without a leash on. Sit, 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 sit. You gain control of their emotions at that point. And I think every organization should try to find someone like me to come in and just give them the basics. This is how you begin. And I think that we'd see a great change come over the animals that are in these shelters. That's not to say that someone that's got 200 or 100 dogs in their facility, that this is going to be easy. It's not easy. This is no silver bullet. Everyone has to be doing the same thing the same way, and that is the key. One person says sit and walks away. Another person says sit and makes the dog do it. The next person comes up and says sit and walks away. The dog is going to be confused. Everything has to be done the same way.
So all the volunteers have to be on the same page.
Yes, everybody has to have a list of criteria. This is the technique, this is how it's applied, and do it this way every time. Everyone has to do it exactly the same way, or you will end up failing.
Ken, thank you very much. What I'd like to do in concluding this first video is to say that we are now talking with Ken regarding coming over and putting on a demonstration, and he will be demonstrating the dogs that he's never met before in a larger venue, in a venue that is somewhere in the Silver Hill area of Alabama, and we'll be letting you know more about that. It will take a few weeks or maybe a month or more to set up, but we'd like to do that so that we can have anyone involved in the rescue and particularly fostering effort to do a better job. Ken, if you would take that sign and sort of hold it up closer to the camera. This is how you get a hold of Ken, although you've been able to take off his information from the back of his car window. But again, thank you, and this will go up on YouTube.
I have a question for you, Mike.
Sure.
After my one visit, has there been a change in your attitude, and have you seen a change in the dog's attitude?
Oh, it's been amazing. It's been an absolutely revelation to me when I came in. You made the presentation on Monday. When I came back to be with the dogs on Wednesday, I followed to as close as I could to what you had taught us Monday, and it seemed to be a world of betterment. And then Friday, yesterday, was even better. So although we have, again, the issue is we have a lot of volunteers starting to offer their services. Some have been trained in one way or another. Some have, like me, have had no training. So the effort, I think, now has to be uniformity. Yeah, and you're the person we want.
I'll say this to close this out. No matter who you get, who your shelter decides or is fortunate enough to get to come in and work with you, everyone needs to do what that person tells you to do exactly the way they tell you to do it.
Amen. Thank you.